Hello, thanks, Kev. How developers, welcome to the plugin development frontend solutions with Angular and TypeScript session. My name is Mike Jung. I'm a senior solution consultant in CoGit and also a certified 0-point IdentityIQ security architect. I'm originally from Taiwan. At the moment, I live in Germany. Currently, one of my main responsibility within CoGit is in charge of our plugin developments and the maintenance. We have utilized Angular framework in some of our plugin front-end implementations. And today in this session, I'm happy to share with you the practice how can we use Angular and TypeScript to build a modern front-end solution for IIQ plugin. Here's the agenda of today's session. We will start with a short introduction. As a deep dive session, we will also align on the IDE used in this practice. In this session, we use part of the code from CoGit organization chart plugin to demonstrate how to integrate Angular framework into IIQ plugin development. After all, there will be a demo session and a reference of the materials. There will be no FAQ sessions. Instead, please leave your questions in the chat or in the developer community post. And here we start. Who's CoGit? First of all, as an employee of CoGit, allow me to briefly introduce my company. We are one of the leading consultancy firms in Germany, especially in IAM area. We are also a solid partner with SailPoint in Europe. Our company provides consultancy services including analysis, implementations, and technical support. Additionally, we also provide PAM solutions such as Beyond Trust and CyberArk, and also role analysis solutions to our customers. From years of experience, we have collect some common use cases, best practice, and publish it as plugin solution on the market. Here are the list of CoGit IIQ plugin library. Except CoGit Ultra plugin, others are certified and available on campus to be inquired. IDE setup. Even though in this session, we will go through a step-by-step detail to build a plugin, however, I would still strongly suggest developers to have some extended knowledge in IIQ plugin development. Here are the list of resources as a starting point for your journey. There is a useful plugin developer guide on campus. A solid advanced plugin implementations course is also available on SailPoint University. In terms of Angular, there are various public resources out there. Here is the one YouTube video which I find it quite useful and easy to pick up. Environment setup. First, we'll need to install Node.js. Node.js is a backend JavaScript runtime environment, runs on Google V8 JavaScript engine. It can execute JavaScript code outside of a web browser. Second, here I mainly use Eclipse for backend Java development. Third, I use VS Code mainly for the front-end Angular TypeScript development. Also, a list of VS Code extensions are suggested to be installed. Potentially, we can use only one IDE for both front-end and back-end developments. However, this depends on your own preference. An IQ instance is required for testing. I will use IQ 8.3 as the demo server later in this presentation. First of all, let's create a plugin framework and build project. As a shortcut to initiate an IIQ plugin project, we will use the wizard from the IIQ DA on Eclipse. Note, per my knowledge, if you are using IIQ DA on VS Code, there might be no wizard currently available. Hopefully, it will be available in the near future. After the project is created, we will create the Java package and the corresponding Java classes. To set up the Angular project first, we will run the Angular command line tool, so-called CLI. then use the Angular CLI to create the Angular project. Once the project folder is created, we then rename the project folder as source-UI. Then we use Angular CLI to install the Angular material module. We use the npm command to install the D3 org chart library, and then we're using the Angular CLI to create the components and also create the data servers. Just after all the steps, here you will see a folder structure like this, that you will have a app and then a components folders with all the 4 files under corresponding to the Angular components, and 2 files with Typescript and under for the data servers. And here we would like to slightly adjust the project setup in order to fit into our nbuild script. In the nbuild XML, we create a new target. Let's name it as npm-build. It runs a shell command to build the Angular project. And we add the target npm-build target as a dependency of the target package. Add additional copy actions to the copy the compiled JavaScript and the CS files into the plugin UI folder. And here's the overview of the project folder structure. And we are ready to proceed on the actual plugin development at this point. Angular and TypeScript with plugin development. What will you achieve in this session? First, we will build a single-page application. A single-page application is a web application that loads a single HTML page, and during each triggered event, only a part of the page gets updated instead of the entire page. Second, we will utilize the Angular modules and third-party libraries to build a modern front-end for the plugin. Third, we will integrate Angular framework with the plugin helper and build into IQ plugin framework. So what's Angular? Angular is a JavaScript framework written in TypeScript. Its primary purpose is to develop a single-page application. And why JavaScript? Why TypeScript? As known, JavaScript is a losing typed language. It can be difficult to understand what types of data are being passed around in JavaScript. By using TypeScript allows specifying the types of data being passed around within the code. This improves the code quality and the developer experience. Then we use the official TypeScript compiler, which compiles the TypeScript code into JavaScript. And here's the demo plugin we are going to build. We're using part of the partition code from the Koki org chart plugin in this demo. The main objective of the plugin is to visualize the organization hierarchy in an org chart graphical view. You may ask, why would we display org chart in IIQ? Here are some business use cases. First, IIQ has not only the HR data, but also non-HR data, such as contractors, shared or technical identities, or work groups. This makes it interesting to have a graphical view on the relation of each different type of identities. Second, org chart provides better visualizations in terms of reporting, analysis, and the monitoring compared to the standard CSV or Excel format. The org chart plugin features. As a general practice, the org chart hierarchy logic we design in this demo plugin is based on the manager attribute of each identity or owner attribute of each work group. The color code for each type of node is configurable under the plugin setting. Supported by the D3 org chart library, there is an interactive way to change the display of the org chart, including compat, swap directions, and collapse up or expand on the tree. And here's the outlook on the outcome which we will accomplish after this session. D3 Orgchart is a highly customizable library. It supports Angular, React frameworks. The idea here is to reuse a third-party front-end library for plugin development instead of creating on our own. So there are some requirements regarding the D3 Orgchart data model. The library can only support a single root tree. And second, every node except the root node must have a parent ID value configured. Third, every reference parent object must also be passed into the library dataset. Fourth, we use InQ internal UID as the unique identifier. And the last one, additional attributes such as the department, job title, email are configurable in the plugin setting. So here we come to the backend development. First, we start to create a backend service. To make it simple in this practice, we make this endpoint publicly accessible by every identity. The identity service Java class will calculate the nodes and return back to the front end. The identity service class is mainly used to retrieve the identities which select to be displayed in the org chart. The method getTreeNodes is the main function within this class. And within the getTreeNodes function, we use getParents, getSiblings, getChilds to construct the org charts for the provided user. The getNodeMap function is similar to a data transfer object class. It simply translates the IQ object into the JSON map format. The getParents function is a recursive function. It searches the manager of the identity or the owner of the workgroup to the predefined preconfig level. The getChilds function utilizes the getManage members to collect all identities which managed by the user, and utilize the getOwned workgroups to collect all workgroups owned by the user. The getSiblings function reuse the getChilds function to get all child nodes, including both identity and workgroup, which managed or owned by the user's manager. The getNodeMap function is similar to a data transfer object DTO class, which translates IAQ object into the required front-end data format. As required by the D3 Orgchart library, attribute ID is required to be the unique identifier for each node. Both getWorkgroupNodeMap and getIdentityNodeMap functions map the owner and the manager field as the required attribute parent ID for the front-end library. It also enriches the output with additional attributes information. And here we complete the backend implementation of the plugin. Now, once the backend endpoint is ready, we need to find a way to query the backend from the front end. Here we're using Angular HT module. The Angular HT module is an embedded standard Angular common package. It enables the front end to retrieve the data from the backend RESTful endpoints. Within SailPoint plugin development, plugin helper is a commonly used object to retrieve essential information such as URL, CSRF token. The plugin helper and SailPoint object, per my understanding, is defined in the SailPoint bundle library.js. Within the Typescript, in order to use those objects, we need to declare the used functions. This tells the compiler that the source exists in another file. Note that here, while using the Angular HT module, it's developers' responsibility to ensure the TLS is enabled in your IQ implementation for security purpose. Here is how we're using the plugin helper to retrieve the plugin URL, and the CSIF token for authentication purpose. Also, we're using the sale point object to get the sale point context URL. In this example, you can also find that in Angular development, we can specify different environments, such as production or dev, and configure with different parameters for each environment. This is very useful while we're developing in the front-end solutions in Angular. For more information regarding the methods of the plugin helper, please find the corresponding Compass post. Within the data service, we define the fetch function. It uses the get method to call the RESTful endpoint from the input path parameter. In Angular, we define an observable, which provides a support for passing message between parts of the application. It's based on a synchronized design. Whenever a new value or change in data is detected, the logic described in the subscribe function will be executed. And here we finish the part of the Angular HT module. Angular Material. Angular Material provides public front-end components and APIs. It gives us our web application a beautiful, reusable, modern taste. Components are such as cards, buttons, data picker, data table with exam are all available on the public Angular materials. It also comes with great example and documentation. Here we use the Angular autocomplete to facilitate the search form. Autocomplete is a feature that makes it faster to complete the search while you start to type. The mat minus autocomplete sections will execute the function defined in the form control, which is in this case my identity control, and reflect the data changes synchronously in the mat options directives. In the form control, which in this case the my identity control, we define a value change functions. The value change function will call the out-of-box identity suggest endpoint every half second and refresh the selectable results under the available list, which is the map options drop-down list. It means every half second, the autocomplete function will grab the value from the input field and retrieve the values from the backend and update in the selectable list options. Once the identity is selected by the user, we can then click on the search button. The button click event will trigger the getOrgchart function. The getOrgchart function will utilize the data service to retrieve the data from the plugin endpoint and call the update chart function to initialize the org chart. The update chart function basically initializes the org chart object with predefined parameters. The main customization happens in this node content function, which can customize the display of each node. Here is an example that in the node content function, we return a DOM object, which represents the node with colorful bar here for each type of identity, an icon of the user, a red or green dot indicate whether identity is active or inactive. The identity name is aligned on the node top right corner. Display name, department, job title, and email are also displayed within the cart. It also displays the number of the nodes that the user managed, and also number of the workgroup membership the user assigned. Here we define some action buttons which provide an interactive way to change the display of the org chart. To access the plugin, we use the JavaScript snip jQuery to insert the plugin page hyperlink under Manual Intelligence Application Risk Score. In the manifest, do not forget to define the REST resources with the backend Java classes. Also define the JavaScript snips file. The plugin is designed with the below configurable attributes. First, the level of managers to be displayed. Here we define 3. A big value may cause a potential performance issue. And the second, that we can define the identity attributes. Here, iMaxima supports 3 attributes to display due to the size of your node card. And also, we can also define the workgroup attributes, such as descriptions or owner. And then we can also define the icon image of each identity. The image should be stored in the base64 format in the identity attribute. Also, there's a possibility to define the color code for each type of identity with a string in JSON format. The plugin setting service class is a helper class for retrieving the value from the plugin setting, which we didn't go to details in the previous slides, but you can still reference in the package, which is available on the corresponding developer community post. And then the last part is that we need to define this full page.xhtml. We simply config the directive app-root directive. It will be recognized by the Angular framework. During the build process, the npm build command will compile the Angular project into several JavaScript files. We simply need to include all the compiled JavaScript files in the page.xhtml. All the main front-end implementation are included in the main.js file. The runtime.js file is the utility used by Webpack to load code at runtime. The polyfills.js is a piece of code used to provide modern functionalities on older browsers that do not natively support it. Then we use the Eclipse, and then in the Eclipse, we execute the nbuild with target package. The compiled package zip file will be compiled and available under the build folder. Then here we can do a quick demo. Okay, so under the intelligence menu, we have this IQ org chart. I need to log in again. Okay, so first demo that we can simply start to type, and each time I type, when we hover for a half seconds, it will start to query the backend. And to show you more details, that we can also open the developer tools to see that every half seconds, the front end will start to query the backend. Once we type more keywords, we start to query this this identity suggests backend. It's a standard backend. You don't need to write your own. Of course, you can write your own backends, but it will always be a good practice to reuse existing solutions. It will return here's the response. We simply to display all those response and update in the allowed list. And here I will simply suggest one of the identity here, and then we can click search, and then boom, then we have the org chart here displayed. The action button is the display of this org chart is fully supported by the D3 org chart front-end library, which is publicly available on GitHub. And it provides a lot of features that can be interactively with. You can scroll your mouse, then you can zoom in and zoom out. When you zoom in too big, and you can simply click this feed screen. When you move it around and you want to make it central, you can still click the feed screen again. You can play around with those display actions buttons, like you compact and change the form, the display format structure, how it displays for the org chart, and you can swap directions. That how depends on how you want to display. You can collapse or, and you can expand everything back. So this is how it works with the org chart plugin. And now we have a backbone of the org chart plugins. Since we still have some time here, and then we can further extend the functionality of this plugin, making it more interesting. Here I would like to further demonstrate some interesting features that we extend in the CodeGit org chart plugin. So there's another plugin. I'm sorry that those piece of code is not exposable here in this session, but I would like to still give you some idea what it can be here. So here there's a simple click icon that will give the user what needs to be done. So from the user experience point of view, a user may be confused. Okay, what happens when firstly he's on this page is totally empty. There's no org chart, which is confusing the user. By clicking this button, there will be a we call Joyride tool. This tool guide will guide the user what needs to be done and give in a kind of live demo action. In this case, that user will know, okay, he needs to select an identity by typing in the input field. Then he can start to type. And as we already demonstrated, the autocomplete will give the suggestion in the drop-down list. Once select, then we have the org chart again. Of course, there's a bit more functionality. User can still click again on the information, this information icon, and then give another live demo. Please keep an eye on the chart. When we click every time, it will try to explain what's going on and simulate the behavior also automatically reflect in the chart. If here, for example, if I start to click it will try to explain on each buttons and try to do the compact itself. I'm not really click on this button, but we are able to write a script in the front end to execute the corresponding functions, even in the front end. We can mark the route, clear the route, can see more details, can swap directions, collapse, expand. Yeah, there are some other functions. Download the PDF, and then there are some other explanations. Okay, then let's take a little bit more, on what we can enhance. So now we have this great chart, and an interesting feature is that we can also click each node to expand the chart and explore on your organization. For example, I see that this person has managed another sex identities, but it's not displayed at the moment. By clicking it, you will start to expand the chart, and then you can start to explore on the organizations here. And this is very interesting that it will make your chart growing up and in a certain way here. And then you can also make a chart a little bit interesting by marking the route that when your chart goes very big and you're trying to find the reporting line, mark routes will be a good way that you can mark your reporting line, your direct reporting line. And this will be helpful if you are going to making some presentation to in certain scenario and trying to find the screenshot graphical view to demonstrate what's your organization architect hierarchy is. Then this is a good tool to be used. Additionally, we have experimental functions that you can also calculate the. You can utilize another third-party library which will calculate the role statics within your organizations. That I can see, okay, how many the roles and how the role distribute per each type of identities. And this might be some useful, might be interesting information to explore around. And as your chart grows up, you can also check on the users. You can also, as I mentioned before, these research org chart library is very highly customizable. So it doesn't stop you to brainstorm and bring more ideas. For examples, I bring this small icon telling that, okay, this guy actually has a policy violation, that the manager which seeing from the org chart can easily catch, okay, under this organization, some guys in my organization does have a policy violation, and I might need to keep an eye on it. And then he can click on the details button to grab more information on what the role and what kind of policy violation currently violating on the user here. And then we can also using the highlight filter to enhance and have more functionality to enhance the display of your org chart. So in this case, I just do a highlight filter, highlight all the nodes, which has the work groups under level to support. Yeah. So that's the demo here, and I think in the end, in a short conclusion, that it's more about the visualization that I find is very powerful with plugin developments. That there are a lot of third-party libraries and very interesting visualizations modules out there that we can use in either in Angular or in React framework, and then we enhance those, integrate this in the plugin development, and change the display whether in a modern way in IQ plugin development. Okay, then let's back. So that's the demo sessions, and there are some reference. So I'll put a link for our CodeGit plugin library reference. If you are interested in our plugin implementation, please feel free to contact me or contact anyone from CodeGit. And the PPT and the corresponding package used in this session is available in the developer community post. And I was also, I think I finished a bit too quickly. If you have any question or comments, feel free to contact me on Compass or developer community, or even via email. I will also answer the questions in the Discord, and also answer the questions live in the developer community. And thank you. And yeah, I wish you have a nice day in 0.developer day.